Once I have the fancy microphone, I will be able to start making videos. Once I have the fancy soundproofing, I will be able to start making videos. Once I transition and lose weight and get my boobs done and my hair sorted out and fix everything, I'll be able to start. Once I have complete and utter control over my surroundings, I can start.
Quality change. Once I have X, I can do Y. This phrase is the defining characteristic of the toolbox fallacy. Thinking you can't even start something until you have the right tool. It's self deception and procrastination disguised as excuse or a lack of tools. The issue with these tools is that you believe that you need them and thus can't or won't start a project without them. Definitely didn't fluff my lines. Toolbox fallacy may be something that you've never heard of before, but it's an extremely common procrastination trap. Everyone has experienced this type of procrastination at some point in their life, whether it's at work or at home. And I've got a confession to make. I'm guilty of it too. It's part of why I disappeared for 2 years, and that's hard to accept sometimes. But have you ever convinced yourself that you can only work towards your goals and dreams when the moment is right? Or when you have the right tools in your toolbox? The problem is, when you have time, you don't have the money. When you have the money, you don't have the energy. When you have the energy, you don't have the time. Life always gets in the way. As soon as my Galaxy Watch arrives, I'll start stretching and getting in more steps. The problem is, when X arrives, do you crack on and get started with the Y? Oftentimes, it's too easy to continue down the slippery slope of the toolbox logic, right? So my Galaxy Watch arrived, but now I need new walking shoes. So why does the toolbox fallacy happen? It happens because some of us prefer excuses for why we are not doing something rather than run the risk of failure. Failure is our biggest fear in life, the perceived negative consequences of doing something wrong, not meeting your own expectations, looking silly, maybe even like just sounding wrong, which may follow the potential failure, right? All goals and dreams need some tools before starting. However, generally, the barriers to entry are actually much lower than you believe they are. The reason I took the opening shots on the phone is because, boom, I have the phone. I have lapel mics. That was good enough. And that's how you overcome the toolbox fallacy, right? Default to action. In other words, just get the ball rolling. Just start. Whether you have the tools you think you need or not. The solution, in a sense, is to be more agile. That's going to piss off a number of agile project managers because there's this misconception that with agile you don't need a plan. The the reality is that the concept of just good enough in Agile refers to the practice of delivering a product that meets the minimum requirements and provides sufficient value to the customer or end user without striving for perfection or over engineering. Plans in Agile need to be good enough to deliver the work to the agreed quality. There's your asterisk. The tools that you need to be good enough to do what you want them to do. I have a camera around here somewhere that is incapable of recording audio for who knows what reason, but I found this out when originally filming this video, which is why I defaulted to my phone. One of the core principles of Agile methodology, which is to prioritize working solutions over comprehensive documentations or exhaustive features. To overcome the toolbox fallacy, you need to do two things, right? Number one, identify what the minimum acceptable quality for your thing is. For example, if you want to walk more is very vague. Maybe you start at 2,500 steps a day instead of I want to walk 10,000 steps a day, because it'll just get you over the line. And number two, start walking. Accept that you're going to fail initially. You're not going to walk 2,500 steps a day if you've spent the last 6 years not walking. You might get 1,000 steps in, but fine, you've begun. There's a famous quote from George Patton, who once said, "A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan next week." So focus on what you can control and your ability and actually start. It sounds crazy, but you must start somewhere. Create a to-do list, but make sure you break each task into small, manageable, bite-sized pieces so that you don't feel overwhelmed. The smaller and simpler the task you can work through and start ticking off what you've achieved so far, the bigger your boost in confidence. This to-do list can become your plan of achieving your goal. Or maybe you could use a Kanban board. Or worst case scenario, you could use a whiteboard just to track, this is what I need to do, this is where I am with it. My whiteboard has gone walkabout. What will set those that accomplish great things in their life apart from everyone else is their ability to get knocked down repeatedly, to face that failure and to stand up again. To have their ego pounded into a fine powder and take criticism with grace. To not be discouraged by failure, but rather use them as learning opportunities. The Toolbox Fallacy preys on your fear of failure, which there is a whole other discussion about where that fear comes from and how society disincentivizes failure. But setting that aside, we do not need everything to be planned, purchased, and controlled up front. Agile tells us that the only way to overcome analysis paralysis is to do the thing, fail, and learn from that failure, using that to grow and do better with each iterative step. Or if you're a professional body, ultimately this lie that we tell ourselves of we need the thing before we can do the thing, it gets in all our heads. And it's not true. You can do so much without the perfect tools, okay? So much of what you need in life comes down to knowledge. And we have the internet. You can get most of what you want for free. And that's not specifically given away for free can usually be found for free. Whatever the project is that you're working on, whether it's a communal housing project in London, or transitioning, or you're trying to plan out how to make a stick house out of 1,000 lollipop sticks, or you're trying to get back into YouTube, whatever your dream is, 3 of those are mine. Whatever it is that you are doing right now, default to action. That means the ability to make decisions independently and take action with little to no oversight. Just enough of a plan and then go.